Sam, take it away.
Marla, thank you very much, and good afternoon to everybody. Welcome to, I think this might be our third seminar, our webinar in the post-COVID environment. We had a similar webinar last week, which focused on both mental health resources as well as financial resources, and that proved very popular, and we thought that we would come back this week with a drill down specifically on the financial resources that are being made available to businesses in the Philadelphia environment. And Marla, my colleague, and I are working on a webinar that we hope to schedule for next week that would focus solely on the Scattergood Foundation and on behavioral and mental health services. We continue to think it's extremely important to each of us individually and to our businesses, both to pursue whatever financial remedies you have to get through this crisis, but also to make sure to pay attention to yourself and your employees. So today, we're going to focus specifically, and Marla, I don't know if you're able to bring up the slides at all.
Yep.
So that people saw, if not, then I'm happy just to talk through my introduction piece. Great. And so if you can go to the next slide and expand that. Oh, do I have controls as well, Marla?
You do not. I will give you control though.
Bear with us 1 minute, please.
Right. Sam, let's see.
Okay, well, while Marla's pulling together the slideshow, let me just I just wanted to do a couple of introductory things. The agenda, and then really the point of today's webinar is 99% focused on the SBA. We are very fortunate to have Kim Stout and Sonia Smith again join us from the SBA. They're each economic development and labor relations specialists there, and have been giving webinars, I think probably night and day, on how to access the SBA resources. But before I start, we are, because of the huge volume of inquiries that we're getting at PIDC and that our colleagues in Harrisburg and with the SBA are getting, we are driving those inquiries. We can't possibly respond individually to every single one, and we apologize. We're doing as much as we can, but we're driving traffic to our website. And on the slide that Marla has up here, you'll see PIDC Phila's website, pidcphila.com. And if you go onto the main page, you'll be able to click on a COVID-19 page. And through that, we have tried to act as a trusted advisor to the business community in Philadelphia to assemble all of the different kinds of resources that we think might be helpful to your businesses. That ranges from financial resources to our webinars to other forms of technical assistance or business support. So a lot of the answers to your questions, if you're not able to get one of us individually, please do go to that website and click through, and you should be able to get some of those resources. In terms of the agenda today, Marla, if you can click to the next page. The agenda, really, I'm going to spend just 2 or 3 short minutes to provide an update on the business support programs that have been created at the local City of Philadelphia level and at the state level. And then I'm going to turn it over again to Kim and to Sonia to spend the rest of the time on the SBA resources. With respect to the local resources, and you can go to the next slide. Thanks, Marla. There are people there's a fair amount of confusion's not even the right word. I just think everyone's pedaling so hard and so fast, and there's so much information out there on the web and through newspapers and so on, that I wanted to take a quick minute to try to organize your thoughts there. Again, from our perspective, there's a whole number of programs that are being generated to support businesses. I'll repeat it again, you should go through our website to see those. But there are 3 levels of government, as we all know from our 8th grade civics classes: federal, state, and local. A program has been created at each of those levels of government, and I'm going to take a minute to speak to the city level and to the state level, both of which run through the City of Philadelphia and/or PIDC. PIDC partnered at the beginning of the COVID crisis with the City of Philadelphia to create the COVID-19 Small Business Relief Fund. That we took in applications and very rapidly became oversubscribed. Approvals on these programs are commencing, so people who have applied already are should be starting to hear next week. Some may have already heard this week. There are 3 tiers of benefits under this program, 2 of which are already closed out. So we start with the micro enterprise grants on the left-hand side of the column. This is available to businesses within Philadelphia that had revenue under $500,000, and they are eligible for grants up to $5,000. That part of the program, that 1 tier, is still open. The city is still taking applications in with capacity to make grants. So if you have not already applied for that, I encourage you to get applications in as soon as possible. All of these programs have very limited resources that I'll just acknowledge right up front are far short of the incredible demand for them. But that program is open and we encourage you to apply. The second 2 tiers, tier 2 and tier 3, are closed to applications, but just to orient you, again, I just want to make sure that everyone's clear on what's available and what isn't. For companies that are between $500,000 and $3 million of revenue, there's a small business grant available for up to $25,000. The city has currently closed that out to new applications. They're reviewing all of the applications. And as I mentioned before, they are starting to announce those awards. So if you did apply, stay tuned. You should be hearing over the course of the next week or so. The third tier for businesses with $3 to $5 million of revenue, we're eligible for loans of $25,000 to $100,000 on a 0 interest basis. That program, that tier has also been oversubscribed at this point, and PIDC is working with Commerce to analyze all of the applications that we received on that. We're working our way through, and we hope to be able to start telling people whether they are approved or denied over the course of the next week. So that is the city level program. And Marla, if you could turn to the next page, then I'll focus on the state level program. So the state also created an emergency business relief program. Because we are all governmental officials, we love to give an acronym. And I just want to repeat those so people, again, to try to cut down on the confusion. The state offered the program through the Pennsylvania Industrial Development Authority, or PIDA. So you'll often see the acronym PIDA or PIDA thrown around. And they called it the COVID Working Capital Access Program, the CWCA. So if you see PIDA or CWCA with respect to the COVID, it's referring to this program. The Commonwealth made $61 million available across the entire Commonwealth. This was available to businesses with 100 employees or less. And this program is likewise closed at this point. They received 890 applications for over $75 million. And earlier, boy, I don't even remember now whether it was earlier this week or maybe it was last week, had to close it out because they're oversubscribed. Now I will say, and I don't want to hold out too much hope, but I will say that there are various conversations happening in the Commonwealth about whether or not they can provide additional capital to this. So again, pay attention to our website, which links to the state. If there is an announcement that they're able to reopen this up, I want to make sure that you're able to submit applications. And Marla, if you can turn to the next slide, that would be helpful.
I'm multitasking over here, Sam.
Oh, okay, all right. Thanks. And this is my last slide. This still relates to the PIDA, or the state's CWCA program. Of those 890 applications across the entire Commonwealth for $75 million, PIDC, the way the state organized the program, which again could be confusing, but the program required businesses to apply through their local county entity. In the case of Philadelphia, that was us here at PIDC. We received 155 applications for over $12 million. And I will tell you that we were only able to get about half of those through. The program was very much oversubscribed. The state shut down the applications once they became oversubscribed, literally while we were working through the night and in the middle submitting applications. So we very much did the best we can, but I want to acknowledge that we did not get all 155 applications into the Commonwealth. If they do open the program up again, the first thing we'll do is work through those applications that we've already received. So with that, we know that we've been interacting with the state. They've received all of these applications across the state, and they are working their way through those applications. My colleague, Peter Silo, who's managing this program for us, has started to be actively engaged with the state to answer follow-up questions they have. I've done a little bit of a poll around with my colleagues in the surrounding counties. So between Philadelphia, Chester, Bucks, Montgomery, Delaware County, I'm only aware that of all of those counties, which keep in mind represents almost 30% of the entire state's economy, we've only received about 2 approvals to date. We haven't received any in Philadelphia. So the state has a big task. They're working through it, and we expect approvals to start coming through over the course of next week and the week thereafter. So with that, Marla, can you go to the next page? And I'm going to turn it over. Again, before I turn it over to Kimberly, I just wanted to give a brief update on the city and the state responses to COVID. Again, please stay tuned to our website or reach out to us for information in the offhand chance that either of those programs get further capitalized and are able to open back up again. And so again, I'm really pleased to have both Sonia Smith and Kim Stout with us. They've been working tirelessly, and we appreciate very much the business community. The SBA programs have become extremely important as we've worked our way through the limited resources that we have at state level. So
okay, thank you. I did have a little bit of wobbliness in the volume, so thank you, Sam, for the presentation about the Philadelphia programs. My name is Kim Stout. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay. Sonia Smith is joining me as well. We're going to split the presentation here. We both have had issues with Zoom, so if one of us goes out, the other one will pop in and cover until we're back on. So we thank everybody for joining us today. I'm going to go over the economic injury disaster loan. This is the loan that was made available initially when Governor Wolf declared the declaration of disaster for the state of Pennsylvania. If you could go to the next slide, please. So that's a picture of our current administrator. Javita Carranza announced the president's declaration, and back on March 17th, all states within the U.S. were declared, as well as the territories. So with this declaration, what came about was for all economic injury disasters loans that we are providing due to COVID-19, actually we'll have a 1-year deferment. So once you are approved and you sign that note, you will not make payments on the economic injury disaster loan for 1 year. Other things that were affected is if you had a prior disaster loan for either your home or your business for a prior disaster before COVID-19, for example, Hurricane Sandy or something along those lines, flooding that we've received, disaster declarations, those are on a 6-month, those are on the automatic deferment as well. Also, for anybody else who is listening who has a 7A loan, a 504 loan, or a micro loan through the SBA, you will not make payments for 6 months, but I am asking you to reach out to the lender that you received those loans for to make sure that they are not taking payments out of your automatic debits at this point in time. So those are additional, that's additional information to what we're going to go through on the next couple of slides. So Marla, if you could switch to the next slide, that would be great. Okay, so the economic injury disaster loan. This is a working capital loan for small businesses, small agricultural cooperatives, small aquacultural businesses, and for this particular disaster, it is also available for most nonprofit organizations and faith-based organizations. The definition of a small business is typically the average of 500 employees or fewer. If you are questioning whether you are a small business owner or not, you can use your North American classification code to verify your size standards, but on average, most small businesses are considered with 500 employees or less. Next slide, please. Okay, for the economic injury disaster loan, if you are any eligible entity may qualify for up to $2 million. This is a loan, and you will have a loan interest rate associated with it. It is a fixed interest rate. For small businesses, it is a 3.75% interest rate. For nonprofits, it is 2.75%. Terms for the loans can go up to 30 years. So that interest rate will not change for the term of the loans. And again, if you will work with a loan officer to determine the exact amount that you are going to borrow. However, loans are available up to $2 million for eligible businesses. These are working capital loans. You can use them for fixed debt, payroll, accounts payable, and other bills that you cannot pay because of the COVID-19 disaster. You cannot use these loan proceeds to cover lost sales or profits or for expansion of your business. They are used to help you get by while you may be closed for business or business has been reduced because you can only operate at a certain level. It is for working capital. Next slide, please. As of March 30th, last Monday, the SBA injury disaster loan also had an advance added to it. This is a request that you can make for up to $10,000 as part of your economic injury disaster loan application. When you complete the streamlined online application, you have the ability to request that advance. And we're going to walk through the application process in just a few minutes. Again, on March 30th, the application process changed for the economic injury disaster loan because the advance was added. If you applied prior to March 30th and you would like to request the advance, then you can go on to the streamlined process to do that. Again, for eligibility, any entity that is eligible to apply for the COVID-19 economic injury disaster loan can apply for the advance. Next slide, please. This is also used for working capital. Same things that you can use the economic injury disaster loan for is what you can use the advance for. It is not to replace lost sales or expansion of your business. There is no requirement to repay the advance, even if your SBA disaster loan application is denied. So there is possibility, I have not heard of it, but there is possibility of being denied the economic injury disaster loan and get the advance. So you can get the advance even if you are declined the other loan. Next, please. This is entirely different than typical SBA lending. If you're an SBA borrower in the past, you worked through a lender, a lending institution, a third party to acquire your SBA 7A, 504, or microloan. In disaster situations, this is when you are working directly with the SBA. These funds come directly from the U.S. Treasury. As I mentioned before, the application is available online, and you go directly to that link that's in blue for you to apply for the economic disaster loan, the economic injury disaster loan, okay? You'll fill in a quick application. Again, we're gonna go through that, and we're going to, I'm sorry, I was trying to look at something really quickly, I apologize. We're gonna go through that loan application shortly, okay? There's no obligation to take the loan if it is offered. There's multiple programs out there. If you acquire one and you've applied for many just to see where you can get the funding from, you're under no obligation to take the economic injury disaster loan. You can decline it when you are approved. For collateral, we are going to ask for collateral for loans over $25,000. If it's under $25,000, you may have, or it will be unsecured. I did see the question about criteria to deny. We have heard of people being denied because the SBA did not have access to look through their credit history because credit was frozen. So it was denied. Once the credit was able to be reviewed, that changed. So make sure you have not locked your credit for other people to take a look at when you're applying for this loan, because the SBA will pull a credit report on you. So hopefully that answers your question. There's, again, no obligation for the loan. Collateral is required, $25,000 or more. Real estate is not going to be required. We'll put a blanket UCC-1 that will be filed against all of your business collateral, your business assets. Personal guarantees are required for loans greater than $200,000. If it is under the $200,000 mark, there will be no personal guarantees for the economic injury disaster loan, okay? And again, if you have an economic injury disaster loan from a prior situation, Hurricane Sandy, etc., you are still eligible for a new economic injury disaster loan. However, we will not consolidate those loans. Next slide, please. There are some entities that are ineligible for the economic injury disaster loan. Agricultural enterprises, businesses that are involved in illegal activity. For example, with the marijuana industry, this is not legalized at the federal level, so you are not capable of acquiring funds from our federal agency. Businesses such as casinos and racetracks that are out there for the full purpose of gambling are not eligible, as well as businesses that rely on a third of their annual gross funds, or I'm sorry, their gross revenue from legal gambling activities. For example, if you sell lottery tickets and you derive more than 1/3 of your annual gross revenue from those lottery ticket sales, you are not eligible. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is where you go to apply for the economic injury disaster loan, as well as the advance. The COVID-19 relief.sba.gov will take you directly to the application, which we're going to run through. If you need to have any correspondence with the Office of Disaster Assistance, you can call the SBA Customer Service Center at 800-659-2955. You can also send an email to disastercustomerservice@sba.gov. If you do not have access to the internet, and we do understand that this is a possibility, you need to call the customer service number to ask for the forms to apply for the loan. Next slide, please. We have been very, we've been very happy to have so many resource partners assist us throughout this time. We've relied very heavily on organizations like Marla and Sam at the PIDC to help get information out to small businesses. We also have a number of Sba Resource Partners that include the small business development centers for the area of Philadelphia. We have a small business development center at Temple. We also have one over at Widener. So they are the local SBDCs that can assist you if you have questions. We do have SCORE chapters in Philadelphia and the surrounding area. To find the local chapter near you, it would be www.score.org. We have a Women's Business Center in Philadelphia, the Women's Business Enterprise Center. They've been very active in helping us work with small businesses through this time and help them understand the loan programs as well. If you are a veteran, we have Veterans Business Outreach Centers as well, and we have a website there that you can find local assistance. But as I mentioned, for Philadelphia, PIDC has been very supportive and helpful, as well as SCORE, Temple, Widener, SBDC, and the Women's Business Enterprise Center. Next, please. Okay, so we're going to run through the application process here for you to become familiar with it. This is what you will see if you go to that COVID-19 relief website, that link that we had up earlier. So what you want to do is, if you could go to the next slide for me, please, is you're going to want to choose what type of entity you are. The one there that's listed is applicant is a small business. You would click on that, pick whatever entity, eligible entity that you are, and then we can go to the next slide. Okay, these are just a bunch of disclosures that we have to verify. You will self-verify that you are not doing illegal activities, that you're not delinquent on child support, et cetera, et cetera. So you want to click the ones to make sure that you are eligible for the economic injury disaster loan. Next, please. On this particular slide, you're going to fill out your business legal name, a trade name if you have one. As a business entity, you most likely have an EIN number. If you are a sole proprietor, you would enter your social security number and then a drop down for your organizational type. The last question refers to whether or not you are a nonprofit. Again, private nonprofits are eligible for this particular program, as well as faith-based organizations. So that may apply to those types of businesses, industries, and organizations. Next, please. All right, so you'll click if you're a franchise. You'll want to include on the line where it says gross revenues for the last 12 months. You should be able to pull this information from your financial reports that you have as a small business. You'll want to include the total up to January 31, 2020 for the previous 12 months. Cost of goods, if you are a service business, you may not have any cost of goods, so you would put 0, but you would want to enter that. You can find most of that information on a profit or loss statement or tax returns. Rental properties. If we could just go back real quickly, sorry, thank you. For rental properties, we've had this question come up a lot in the last couple of days. You can only put in what your lost rentals were to date. We cannot predict how long the COVID-19 disaster is going to last. So you need to put in what your losses have been to date when you're applying for this. If this prolongs or you're affected longer, you can make modifications to this loan request with the loan officer from the Office of Disaster Assistance. For example, if you have a rental property at the beach and you have lost rentals as this continues, you can come back and make modifications. All right, and then just real quickly at the bottom, it's asking for compensation from other sources due to this disaster. So if you are getting one of the loans that Sam was talking about, or you've been approved for the Paycheck Protection Program, which Sonia is going to be talking about, you want to make sure that you give that information on the application. Okay, next one, please. Okay, so let's see, can we go back one more? I'm sorry, Marla. Okay, we need to go forward. I think we skipped something. Yeah, this is the very beginning. So I think we need to go like to slide 24 maybe. Okay, right there. Yes, thank you. So a brief description, if you did receive compensation from another program, you would want to put that there, all of your additional information. And then the next slide, please. Business email, the date that the business was established, the current ownership. The example that I typically use here is if you are part of a family-owned business, for example, and the business was established 60 years ago by a grandparent, and you took ownership over 5 years ago. So you would want to explain when the business was established, and then when you, the current owner, took over ownership. The type of business activity and the detailed business activities are drop-downs. So you would want to do what's best and closest for you in those particular drop-downs. The number of employees, this does not exclude part-time. You want to give the number of employees you have total full-time and part-time on this particular line. Next, please. Okay. Is your business owned by a business entity? You'll say yes or no, and then you'll go to the next one. Okay, this is where a lot of our nonprofits start having questions. Individual owner or agents. If you are representing a nonprofit, you are considered an agent. It's best to have somebody from the nonprofit who has the ability to make financial decisions as part of this application. And put their information in here. As an individual owner, you would complete it just as is, pretty clear at this point. So go ahead to the next one. All right, the place of birth. I did have somebody ask me that. Yeah, you just put, they just want to verify that you're a legal person. You're here in the U.S. and part of this disaster program. If you have additional owners that have 20% or more ownership, you would add them to that button where it clicks add additional owners. I do want to point out here that if you look on the side of the lines where it's green, that has to be all correct. That will turn green when the information that you provided is correct, and then you can hit next. If something is red, you need to go back and change the information and make it correct. Next, please. All right, here you are self-certifying again that you are an eligible entity for this particular loan product. Next, please. Okay, so in this particular one, if somebody's helping you complete the loan application, you are going to put that information in there. You might have a CPA helping you because they've provided information. You might have somebody translating it for you. Whatever the circumstances are, we just want to collect that information and also see if you were charged for anything. This, again, we'll say this over and over again. There have been many scams created over the last couple of days and weeks, unfortunately. I received notification from somebody that somebody wanted to charge them $750 to help them fill out this application. That seems to be a little bit absurd to me because it is so simple. And we are doing these free webinars every day. Please be aware of scams, and you do not have to pay people to help you with this application. If you are using an attorney or a CPA, you are most likely to maybe pay an hourly fee or a service fee because, again, they are accountants and attorneys, and they would have given you, you would have been paying them to assist you for any of your other business services. So that is acceptable. All right, and then at the very bottom, you want to request the advance up to $10,000. So that's a very important button there. You want to make sure that you click that. Next one, please. Okay, so this is where I also had somebody not be able to click to the next screen because the routing number was incorrect. So what you want to make sure you do is that you put your bank information, your account information, and your routing number. When you are approved for the advance or for the economic injury disaster loan, the information is going to go, that the amount is going to go into your bank account. So you want to make sure that you have the correct information there, and then you certify at the bottom that all of the information is correct. And then you'll go to next. And here you have the opportunity to review your application. If you need to make any changes, there's a little edit button in the middle right-hand side. You can make the changes. If not, you just go to the bottom of the next screen. You want to verify that you are not a robot, and then you hit next. And then you will submit your loan application for the economic injury disaster loan. A loan number will pop up. A loan application number will pop up. You want to make sure that you screenshot that, you take a picture of it with your phone, write it down, whatever mechanisms you use, but you want to hold on to that, because any correspondence that you have with the Office of Disaster Assistance, you want to make sure that you have your loan number available. Okay, next slide. I think we're moving right along, and we're going to skip questions for now and let Sonia move into the Paycheck Protection Program, and then we will be able to take questions on both programs. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. Let's, well, you can just pass that slide right on by. Next slide. Great, thank you. So thank you, Kim, for explaining the EIDL program. As I go over the Paycheck Protection Program, also known as the PPP, I want you just to park everything that you've heard on the EIDL program. This is a different program with different eligibility requirements, okay? And so some organizations that are listening may be eligible to apply for both. Some organizations may only be eligible to apply for one, okay? So the Paycheck Protection Program is a loan that is offered through participating lenders. And yes, we have been having questions about that. Where do I find a participating lender? Number one is I suggest that you contact the bank that you have a relationship with first to see, number one, if they are participating in the program or if they are ramping up to participate. Bear in mind, this program just opened up on Monday, okay? And some small community banks, federal credit unions and such have just been ramping up and are available to take applications. The best way to find a lender is to go to our website, sba.gov/paycheck protection/find. And I also understand, because I was answering the chat box, that Marla mentioned the Philadelphia Business Journal has something on participating banks. So after this, Marla, I don't know if you just want to jump in now at this point and explain what you know about the PBJ.
Thank you, Sonia. On yesterday, the Business Journal published an article about several banks in the area, those that were participating and those that are not participating. What PIDC did is extract the names of the banks that are participating with some conditions though. And so we've put together that list and we will make it available upon request. So people have our email address, just shoot us an email and we will send you that. It's again, it's an excerpt. It is not anything the PIDC did. We are simply capturing a portion of the Philadelphia Journal article from yesterday.
Great, thank you, Marla. And as I mentioned, you know, some of our community banks are ramping up. So if you try to find a lender today, there may be more lenders listed tomorrow, okay? And again, this program is designed to provide a direct incentive for our small business to keep their workers on their payroll. The funds can be used for pay up to 8 weeks of payroll costs. And we will get into describing what exactly are payroll costs and what exactly are the benefits. Funds can also be used to pay interest on mortgages. Note that is interest. It is not prepayment of a mortgage payment, nor is it payment on principal of a mortgage. You can also use that for your business rent and utilities such as gas and electric, water, phone, internet. The mortgage to rent leases would have been expenses that would have occurred on or after February 15th. Okay, and of course, your business should have been in operation as of February 15th. So small businesses and sole proprietors, you can apply today. In fact, that bank started taking applications on Monday. And independent contractors, people who are paid via a 1099, and self-employed individuals can apply beginning April 10th, which is tomorrow. Okay, next slide, please. Thank you. These are the terms of the loan. The maximum loan amount is $10 million. The interest rate is fixed at 1%. Your first payment will be deferred for 6 months. The loan maturity is in 2 years. There are no collateral requirements required of this loan, and there are no personal guarantees required. If your bank tells you otherwise, that collateral is required or personal guarantees are required, I suggest you contact PIDC with that specific information, and Marla will be happy to pass it on to us. These are the terms of the loan, okay? And it is what it is. No borrower or lender fees are payable to the SBA, and bear in mind, this program is only available through June 30th. The EIDL program, I can't remember whether Kim mentioned it or not, because I was busy in a chat room, is available through the end of the year. Okay, and so this is a forgivable loan program, and it will be fully forgiven when at least 75% of your loan proceeds are used for payroll. Forgiveness is based on you, the employer, maintaining or quickly rehiring employees and maintaining salary levels. The whole point is, for 8 weeks, we want you to rehire your employees, even if your restaurant or retail store is closed because of the governor's orders. You're going to take the employees you had as of February 15th and put them back on your payroll, even though they physically are not able to do the job they're supposed to do in your small business. Okay, so who can apply for the PPP program? Small businesses with 500 or fewer employees are able to apply if the employees that you have, their primary residence should be the US. 2 types of industries are eligible with employees over $500, and that is the hospitality and the food industry. So for example, if you have 2 restaurants and one restaurant has 300 employees and another restaurant has 300 employees, if you count it up, you've got 600 employees, but per each location, which is what you want to look at, if at the store or the location level there are less than 500 employees, you are eligible to apply. Also, again, if you have more than 500 employees, you may be able to meet SBA's size standards, which is based on employee or your revenues determined on your North American Industry Classification Code. And I think Kim had mentioned that. Simply go to sba.gov/size. You can put in your NAICS code or find your NAICS code and then determine if you are still classified as a small business. Okay. The only types of nonprofits that are eligible for the PPP are 501c3s. Veteran organizations, the IRS has deemed them as a 501c19. And of course, any faith-based organizations or houses of worship are eligible to apply for the PPP, as are sole proprietors, self-employed persons, and independent contractors. Just as with the EIDL program, there are also ineligible types of businesses. As Kim mentioned, if your business is involved in an illegal activity on the federal level, like marijuana, it is also ineligible for the PPP program. And just like EIDL, if your business is involved in gambling, it is also ineligible for this program. Some other businesses that are ineligible for this program are household employers. For example, if you employ a nanny or a housekeeper, if you have been convicted of a felony in the past 5 years, or if you have defaulted on a federal loan during the past 7 years. And of course, more information on this is on the standard PPP application. It's an SBA form 2483, and it is available on our website, so you can dig deeper into those ineligible criteria. Next slide, please. Okay, so you will owe money when the loan is due if you use this money for anything other than payroll costs and mortgage, interest, rent, utility for over the 8 weeks after receiving the loan. You will also owe money if you use less than 75% of the loan amount for payroll. And you need to maintain your staff and payroll at what it was on February 15th. So you will owe money if it's not at the February 15th, 2020 level. So to qualify for forgiveness, you need to maintain your head count, you need to maintain salaries and wages, and you have until June 30th to restore full-time employment and salary levels for any changes made between February 15th and April the 26th. Just to let you know that the clock starts on the 8-week period the day the lender gives you your first disbursement for the money. Okay, and really what we are intending you to do is to get your employees off unemployment for 8 weeks and put them back on your payroll. Next slide, please. Okay, so remember I said I was going to get into what counts as payroll costs. So what counts is salary, wages, commissions, or tips. The maximum is $100,000 per person. And I want to emphasize that if you have people that you provide a 1099 to, they are not your employees. Employees receive a W-2. So anybody that is, so if you have W-2s and 1099s, the only people you are counting as payroll are the people you give a W-2 for. You do not count 1099s. They are not your employees. 1099 is an independent contractor, and he or she is able to apply for this program starting tomorrow. So salary, wages, commissions, and tips are capped at $100,000 per person annualized. Then the benefits. So benefits include costs for vacation, parental, family, medical, or sick leave. And the CARES Act does exclude sick and family leave for which credit is allowed under the Families First Coronavirus Response Act. There is an allowance for separation or dismissal, and payments required for providing group health care benefits, including insurance premiums, as well as a payment of any retirement benefit. If you are a sole prop or an independent contractor, what counts as payroll costs for you are wages, commissions, income, or net earnings from self-employment, again, capped at $100,000. To calculate the payroll, you simply take a look at your past previous months, right? Add month 1, month 2, month 3, month 4, all the way to month 12, divided by 12, and then multiply it by 2.5, and you have your average payroll cost, okay? You can use the previous 12 months. You can also use the 2019 calendar. If you're seasonal, you can use the time period from February 15th through June 30th or March 1st through June 30th of last year, okay? So seasonal is 2/15 of 19 through 6/30 of 19 or 3/1 of 19 through 6/30 of 19. If you were not in business, you can then do the calculation of January 1st, 2020 through February 29th, 2020, obviously, to get an average monthly payroll. Okay, and is that it? I think that's the last slide. Yeah. So at this point, Kim and I will take questions.
Okay, I'm a little stumped. So can we go through, if you have a question, raise your hand.
Yeah, because I was trying to, I know both Sonia and I were trying to go through the chat. There's a lot of questions coming through. So raising your hand and asking and going down is probably the best way, because we were trying to answer some of the questions via chat as well.
Right.
And I do
So-
see, like with Stephen there, is the 100K just payroll or include benefits? The 100K cap is inclusive of the wages. There's additional costs that you can ask for benefits.
Right. It's 100,000 per person annualized based on salary, wages, commissions, or tips.
Yep. So typically, what we can do for anybody who's asking a question, to raise your hand, you would just scroll at the bottom and click on participants. That should open that list over to the right. And at the bottom, there's an opportunity for you to click raise hand, and then you can go in order, Marla, of the raised hands.
Okay, I am unmuting Crystal.
Hi, my question is about the sole proprietors and self-employment folks for the PPP. I didn't have employees before February 15th. Does that mean PPP is off the table for me, or I missed part of the section where you were explaining the equivalent for?
Correct. So you did not have employees as of February 15th.
Correct.
Okay. Now, I assume that you somehow get paid, right?
The business just opened in November, so not yet.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So basically, you're able to apply through the EIDL. Now, in November, did you cut yourself any type of a draw or anything like that?
No, it's a sole proprietorship, and we were, just covering costs and stuff.
Right. So because you did not have any payroll, neither for yourself nor for any of employees, you are not eligible for this program. However, you are eligible for the other program.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Alfred, it looks like you're
Alfred.
unmuted.
Oh, yes.
I am-
How you doing? How are you today?
Good, thank you.
Okay. My question was on my Paycheck Protection Program. I have employees on my payroll that I didn't do I own a bar. I didn't do their their tips on W-2s. Am I able, when I take them off of, they're on, now they filled out for the unemployment. Now with this program, I have to take them off unemployment, or I have to tell them that they have to stop unemployment.
Correct. They will have to get off of unemployment for 8 weeks, so
Okay.
you can pay them just like you were before.
Okay. Now, and then that would be the wages that I can report have to be only what I reported on W-2, because I don't report their tips.
If you
Correct.
don't know what the tips were, you have to report what you've documented.
Correct.
Oh.
What you put on the W-2.
Okay. All right. And then once the 8 weeks is up, I have to hire them back no matter what's going on.
No. When you get the loan from the bank, okay, you're gonna call your people and say, you're back on payroll. I am paying you, even though the bar is closed and Governor Wolf has shut you down. You're gonna pay your people for 8 weeks, just like if they were working at the bar. Okay.
Okay.
After the 8 weeks, there isn't any more of this funding, but you're going to go back to your lender. You're going to show them the documentation that when they gave you the loan, you used at least 75% or more for payroll, and then the loan will be forgivable if you follow how we described it on the PowerPoint.
Okay. Great. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, I am unmuting Jennifer Lowe.
Hi. So I have had to lay off temporarily my staff, and I understand that to do this, I would need to hire them all back. But what happens if they don't all want to come back all at once? I know you just said to the last questioner, they have to be on for 8 weeks, but what happens if, like, 3 of them come back for the full 8 weeks, but then one of them wants to wait until 6 weeks before? Like, how does the 6/30 deadline play in?
You're calling them back to work, okay? So, you've got until June 30th to restore your payroll to what it was on February 15th.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, they're not working. Again, if your bar is closed, they're not working, but they're going to be on your payroll, and you're going to be paying them just as if they were working and supplying them with whatever benefits that you provide those employees. And if you do that for the 8-week period, you're going to show the documentation back to your lender, and your loan will be forgivable.
Okay, but
to maintain average headcount and average salaries for this to be forgiven.
No, I understand that, but everyone's already been laid off. So what if I just can't get them back?
Then you won't be forgiven if you take the loan proceeds.
Right.
Okay.
Because remember, it's to help your employees.
Yeah, they're all going to make more money right now, probably on unemployment. So I don't know if they're going to have incentive to come back.
Then that's a business decision that you make.
Okay, so, but so for the 6/30 deadline, like, let's say everyone has been hired back, but they haven't been back for a full 8 weeks.
Well, the 8 weeks starts from when you get the loan. So if you get the loan on May 1st, or May 20th, let's say, it's going to run 8 weeks from May 20th, because you cannot call the people back until you have the funds.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, John Thomas.
Hey, how are you, everybody? I have a few questions, so I'll go pretty quickly. I am familiar with all the guidelines that have been put out by SBA, so my questions are mostly dealing with the chinks in the armor that have been identified through this process. The first one is, the self-employed independent contractors who are their only employees. Some banks and lenders are turning in their applications away. So
okay, wait. Let me just stop right there, okay? If you are a 1099 employee and you have the form 1099, and you've suffered an economic loss because of the COVID-19, they should not be turning you away. But don't forget, you don't apply until Friday, April the 10th. So they may be turning you away that it's not time for you to apply.
Okay, so I'll make sure that that's communicated to the people, because I also coach people for a living. I'm fully aware of, what the law is saying, but I'm sharing with you some of the on the ground,
Right. Right. So sole props and independent contractors are able to apply beginning Friday. So that is probably why they are turning away people that are coming in with their 1099 and their application completed.
Perfect. So the other question, I'll go real quick, is the idle advance. It's been said that now new criteria has been added that puts it based on employees that you have versus a company like a sole proprietor or independent contractor needing to pay their bills, the expenses and rent and all that. So
a sole proprietor, you are a business of one.
Yes, and that means a $1,000 advance, which wouldn't help a business stay afloat if that's all they qualify
Well,
for.
the whole idea of the advance is to try to get money into somebody's pocket quickly prior to being approved to the economic injury disaster loan. That's why the CARES Act put that in place.
Got it. But do you get the communication I just asked? That's like less than what?
I understand what you're saying, but the advance is not to pay every single bill. It is to put cash into a small business pocket as soon as possible as they're working through the economic injury disaster loan approval process.
Really, trust me, I do understand that. I'm not, just let me finish my question so you can answer it correctly, not what I already know. the issue isn't about the 1,000. It's like looking at it from the standpoint of, you know, the Family First Act gives $1,200 for one single individual. $1,000 would not do anything for a business owner. It doesn't pay any bill. It may be electric, right? So I'm just saying these conversations need to be had so that folks who are making these decisions now, putting these new policies in place, can take into consideration what actually is going to make a difference for a small business owner and an independent.
And we appreciate that, but we are not the people who make the programs. Sonia and I work at the district office. It is our job for outreach and to educate people what's available to them.
Okay, great. Last conversation I'm going to have is that, is there
So
any...
John, what we're going to ask you, we have so many other questions, people with questions. We've had you on a while. Let us get through all the others, and if we have time, we'll come back.
No problem.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So the next I'm unmuting is Pete.
Oh.
Pete Rose.
Hello.
Pete, are you there? Okay, we're gonna
Most
go.
of our labor.
Something's happening.
Pete, are you there? Pete Rose?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So I have a mix of W-2s and 1099s. I have.
Okay, very easy, okay? The 1099 people, you tell them they will gather their 1099s from you, and everyone else they get a 1099 from,
No,
and they will apply on Friday. You only apply with the W-2s.
That's not my question.
Okay.
My question, I have decided that my W-2 employees were in office positions that we have so little volume now that I'm doing everything myself. And I've stopped taking a W-2 salary for myself. I would like to hire some of my 1099s as W-2 employees to keep them so I don't lose them and to help them out. Can I switch things around as long as the head count and the dollar amounts work out to be the same as I was paying in 2019? Does it matter as long as the numbers and the averages equal the same?
I don't know about that. That's not the intent, which is to keep your people on payroll of who you had. So we'll have to go ahead, Kim.
I would say what I would suggest, because a lot of these questions, once they get specific and technical, Sonia and I have to go back to read the regulations to make sure that we're answering your questions correctly. So what I would ask is if you could please email the PIDC group that question. They will forward it to us, and we will work on an accurate answer for you.
Thank you.
You know, as we said, the intent of the program is to take people that you have laid off and to bring them back to work for 8 weeks and pay them salary so they don't have to be on unemployment. That is the intent of the Paycheck Protection Program.
Yes, and we are not tax accountants, we are not attorneys, we are not HR professionals, we are not insurance professionals. So some technical questions we have to do some research on.
And also don't ask us anything about unemployment compensation either. That's not part of the SBA.
Okay, I'm unmuting Carmine.
Thank you, and thank you for the program. My question is regarding being a statutory employee where we file a Schedule C, which is a sole proprietor form. Where do we fall? Do we fall as sole proprietors?
Yes, yes. You're able to apply on Friday. Also, I would suggest that you have an income and expense statement from your business that shows the expenses that you drew out.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I am unmuting Elizabeth Larson.
Maybe a technical question that you want us to email about later. It touches back on the same question that you were talking about before with someone else who said, what if she can't get all her employees back? So what if you have an employee who gave notice in February whose last day was February 21st? So say your number of employees was 10 on the 15th, somebody left, stayed on as a part-time hourly person, but now your full-time employees are down to 9. You're heading right into the COVID thing, don't want to hire someone new, not knowing what was coming. Does that create a problem?
You can also you can also talk with your lender about loan modifications. When you calculate what the amount of payroll is going to be, and you realize, oh, you know what, I'm not going to be able to use all of this as payroll, I'm giving some of this back. So you can work with your lender to do a loan modification if you got too much money.
Okay, I mean, and
And they do look at averages. I mean, we do understand people are going to come and go. They're looking at you maintaining the average head count and the average salaries.
Okay, so I won't have trouble maintaining the average salaries. It will be if my head count has gone from 10 to 9 full time.
And again, it's average. So, it's not that if you look at a 12-month period, what's your average head count? There's going to be some understanding that that person was on the way out. So you want to work with your lender. We're going to look at the average head count, and we're going to look at the average salary.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, I am unmuting Tiffany.
Hi, I have 2 quick questions. The first one for the EIDL loan, if you have I have 2 childcare centers. Will they run our credit report twice if we put in for the loan for the separate businesses?
You're the owner of both of them?
I am.
Okay, did you put in 2 separate applications, or did you put in just 1 application?
I haven't applied.
Okay, so you're going to put in, Sonia, correct me now, because I know before they were talking about affiliates. Do you have separate entities for both organizations?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're going to do the EIDL application, and I know they asked a question, do you have another business? And of course, we can't go into a live system and test it out. So I don't know that when you say, yes, I have another business, if it's actually then going to pop up and ask you to do information on another business, or if that's just a yes or no question. So if you're only able to put information on your first business, you're going to do all that, you're going to get an application number, and then you're going to go again, and you're going to put all the information in on business number 2.
Okay.
Okay, we just don't know because we can't get into it to find out, like when you say you have another business, how it works.
Yeah, and you are going to put in your social security number. The Office of Disaster Assistance, will see there's an application in for the same social security, 2 applications in for the social security number. So they should be able to connect you and not run 2 separate credit scores, but we can't confirm that for sure.
And of course, they're also pulling up a credit report on your business too. So, each business will have one.
Okay. And one other quick question. I've applied with 2 separate banks for the PPP loan, only to, within a day or 2, get a response after they took my whole application, requested all of my payroll reports to say, oh, I'm sorry, we're only doing current clients or current customers. My credit union isn't participating. So how do I find a bank before the money's gone that will accept, new customers?
Right. Well, yeah, don't forget, Marla will be sending people after this webinar information on participating lenders. And as I mentioned, if you go to our website, sba.gov/paycheck protection/find, which was on the slides, small community lenders are ramping up. Remember, this program just opened up on Monday. So a lot of small banks, federal credit unions, they were not ready on Monday. They've just gotten, into SBA processes and systems, and they're ramping up. So check, when you check, you should be able to find some lenders that are not just doing their customers, but also other customers.
Okay.
Okay, I am unmuting Andrew.
Hi, I have 2 quick questions. One, and it's similar to what's been asked about the PPP, but if I have someone who left in February, and I intend to replace that person, does that just count towards the average so that works within the threshold of the plan?
Yeah, I mean, there's understanding that, you know, people aren't going to be returning. There's some people who may have left because they were unemployment, found another job, and aren't returning to the previous small business. We're looking at average headcount and average salary levels to be forgiven.
Mhm.
Okay, great. And the second is, what's the timeline on the advances from the EIDL?
They're working as fast as they can.
They have started disbursements late last week, but of course we're in a national crisis. We're not just in a physical disaster that only affected a small group of people. So they are working on getting disbursements done as quickly as they possibly can.
Great, thank you.
We are unmuting Edith.
I got my
Can you hear me?
partial.
Yes.
Okay, so my question is,
What's that?
okay, my question is,
Well,
as
in
it
case
relates
they-
to the
He's
70
not, he needs muted again.
hello?
That
Go
one
ahead,
gentleman
Edith.
needs muted again.
Okay, as it relates to the 75% requirement for the PPP loans,
Mhm.
does that include both employees who have already left and who's already and those who are also still on payroll, but the company is having issues in actually making payroll for those who are on payroll?
Yes, it's to maintain your payroll. So obviously you're getting less and less revenue. So the choice is, do I pay my utility bill with what revenue I have, or do I maintain my employees on my payroll? And so this will help you maintain your employees on your payroll.
Okay, great.
So you can use your revenues to pay your, you know, your other bills.
Right, right. Okay, and then also too, the other question is, let's say a company didn't qualify or they didn't meet the requirements, right, for the 75% and they have to repay the loan. What are the, what's the deadline? How long do they have to repay it?
2 years.
It's 2 years at a 1% interest rate.
Okay. 2 years. And then the application process, I think you just answered that. The other gentleman asked that question. You said they're working as fast as possible to get the you know, money out there.
Advance.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are unmuting Shagri.
Hi, yes, it's pronounced Chara. Can you hear me?
Chara,
Yes.
sorry, yes.
Oh, it's fine. It's not phonetic. Real quick question on PPP and the EIDL. For the PPP, what strategy do you recommend, considering that the banks are taking a while processing? So I've applied with my current bank, but I haven't gotten an answer. So should I be applying with other banks at the same time because it's first come, first serve on the funds, or should we hold tight? I don't know if there's a problem what if they both hit the system at the same time? So do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, you can only apply once. So you want to make sure that you don't have multiple applications out there because that will be a red flag. So you need to check with your lending institution that you already applied with. Have they been able to give you an updated status on where you are on the loan application process?
Okay, so we should not submit 2 full applications that are in process, you know, without knowing, you know, that one hasn't been finished. So we don't want 2 live applications out at the same time, is what I'm understanding.
Correct. I would definitely get in contact with the lending institution that you had put the application in to get some kind of understanding of where the application sits and what the status is. Because again, this is a program you can only apply for once. So if they're in the process of approving it and then you go to another bank and they submit it in and it's approved, there's going to be a red flag thrown out at the SBA to say, wait a second, there's 2 loans in process here.
Okay, got it. Thank you. And one other thing about the EIDL loan, if the founder does not want to give a personal guarantee, because I think the personal guarantee includes spouses and minors' assets and stuff. I saw that on the presentation that you had made, if it's under $200,000, there's no personal guarantee required. So
Correct.
would we not need to fill out that personal financial statement, or do we need to fill it out and then go back to them and say, oh,
There's no personal financial statement at this time. The only application that is that you need to worry about at this point is that online application that we walked through. If
okay.
the Office of Disaster Assistance needs additional financial information from you, they will contact you for that information at that time. You can
Perfect.
modify the loan amount. If they come back and say, okay, we're going to give you $300,000 and you don't want $300,000, you can make modifications at that time.
Okay, perfect. Thank you both so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we are going to Joan on the phone.
Hi. I had two questions. For the payroll protection plan, is that only full-time or also part-time?
It's for full-time and part-time employees. They're looking for your total head count and your average salary.
Okay, great. And then the AIDL, I'm a little confused as to how much money might be available, how much one could borrow. And I don't know, I know you would work out the details, but in general, is that based on a business's gross revenues?
Joan, we don't know what SBA disaster uses as the calculation. That's why you do not request an amount. As SBA disaster will determine that for you. Once you get notified that you have been approved for a loan, you can work with your loan officer to determine if you need more money, ask for a loan modification. They'll work with you and say, yes, no, this is the information we need, or if you've got too much money, like the other caller was advised.
Right, no, I understand that. Okay, so.
Right. We don't know
All right,
how.
I mean, it's such a large range in terms of the size of the businesses. So I'm just wondering what do you have any idea what the average size of those loans are?
No.
Well,
okay. Black box there. All right. Well, thank you.
thanks.
Thank you. We are unmuting Kevin.
Good afternoon, Kim, Sonia, Marla. Thank you for your help with this. My question to you is regarding the amount to put in for average monthly payroll for 1040 Schedule C filers. Is it the total net profit reported on the Schedule C or the total net profit divided by 12?
It's the application wants to know your average monthly payroll. Okay.
Right. Schedule C filers don't normally do.
Right. So, you know, you take it all out at the end or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. So then take that, whatever you had, take it divided by 12. So
Perfect.
That'll be your monthly.
That's what I thought it was. Great. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
Okay, we're going to Sarah.
Oh, hello.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, I spoke to a fellow business owner today who applied for the economic injury disaster loan, and she said she had reached out to the SBA to check on the status of her application, and the woman she spoke to told her that for some reason her application had been, I don't know if they said lost or deactivated, and they told her she needed to apply again. And she wasn't sure if it had to do with something that that difference you were talking about that they rolled out on the 30th. I'm concerned, like I haven't heard anything about my application. I'm just curious, should I be trying to follow up with someone, or what? Have you heard?
When did you apply, Sarah?
Anything like this happening?
What day did you apply?
I think I'm like losing track of the days.
Right. Did you apply on the streamlined system or did you apply prior?
My accountant helped me apply, and it was very easy and very fast. We did it on his computer. So I'm thinking that was streamlined, and it was probably at the beginning of last week.
Okay. Yeah, we haven't been given any guidance from the Office of Disaster Assistance as to if loans have been lost. I mean, there's a lot of hearsay going around right now.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry if that did happen to her. However, you know, if you have applied since March 30th and you've gotten your loan number, you've applied for the advance as well. If you applied prior to that and have a loan number and you need an update on your status, then you need to reach out to the Office of Disaster Assistance to confirm your status, if that's, you know, so that they can let you know.
Yeah, and we're really urging everyone, if you sent in a paper application or you did not go through the process that Kim showed on her slides, that means you're missing out on, you know, a forgivable loan, which is basically a grant that you can be considered to up to $10,000. So we are really urging everyone, I mean, you know, to apply the new way. You know, you have nothing to lose.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll connect the two applications together.
Okay, is that email that you had up on the screen the best place to, like the best way to check in with them about the status of your loan?
Yes, and Marla, I don't know if you could maybe go back to my slide presentation. I think we were around like—
Oh no, it's right there, Disaster Customer Service. It's right on the screen now.
Oh, yep, okay.
Go back, yeah, there it is.
Disaster Customer Service at sba.gov, perfect.
Thank you.
There, Sonia.
Okay, we are unmuting Regina. Regina?
Hello?
Hello, you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Once you put the application in for the PPP, how can you check on it and make sure it's not going to run out of funds?
Well, you need to check with your lending institutions that you applied with. They're the ones who should be able to let you know the status. I mean, we really have no idea. I mean, we know that the PPP program is only given a bucket of money, right? But we don't know how many people have applied and how many people have been approved. So we can't track that at the district level. You need to communicate with your loan officer to see where it stands and follow up on the status.
And they had no idea how to follow up. They said that they have no guidance in terms of, you know, the process and where it is in the process. They just know that they submitted to the SBA and they have no feedback past that.
Okay. Again, the Paycheck Protection Program only became live on Friday, April 3rd. Most banks didn't start offering it until Monday. So we're still within a week's time of everything being collected.
Okay. I mean, I'm just nervous, and should I apply through another bank, you know, just in case somehow one bank gets capped and another bank doesn't?
Well, as we said before with the previous caller, is that you can only have one application, you can only have one loan through the Paycheck Protection Program. So if you're submitting duplications and you don't know where the status is, that's going to create a problem down the road. So you need to make sure you're communicating with your lender to see where you stand or what the status is that they can give to you, instead of putting out 10 applications and creating a problem down the road. Because if SBA sees your name in the system 10 different times, there's a problem.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
We're going to ask the next questions that you please just limit it to one so we can try to get through what we've got left. I am unmuting Hack Wong.
Oh, hi, how you doing?
Good.
So my question is, if I am if I already applied for the PPP and later I feel like I still need more funds and I apply, can I still apply for the EIDL as well after I apply for the PPP?
You can apply for both now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can apply for both. And the EIDL loan, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, is in place through December. So if you don't need the funding now, but you find you need it in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 3 months, it's available through December.
Oh, okay. Great. And just one more quick question, sorry. For rental properties, the one, if they had just lost their tenant before, this crisis happened, would they still be available for this SBA?
Only if the loss of rental income was due to COVID-19.
Okay, all right, clears up. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. We're going to Sharada? All right, I think I'm missing that. We're going to go to Jennifer.
Hi again. If you get the $10,000 advance for the EIDL loan, does that impact, or how does that impact the forgiveness of the PPP loan, if at all?
Yes, you cannot use it for the same thing. So PPP, to make it totally forgivable, you need to use at minimum 75% on your payroll, okay? So knowing that, you want to make sure that the advance, you do not use it for the same thing.
Okay.
All right, and that doesn't just go with the 2 SBA programs, because if you've received a grant or a loan through PIDC, you can't use that for the same 8-week payroll that the PPP is for. So you've got to keep very good records and document all the different loans and grants that you've got to help your business through the COVID-19 emergency, and show that the way you're taking care of your payroll and expenses is, you know, you're not double dipping.
Okay.
Okay.
And I know this is very hard. Any concept of timing of any of this stuff, like at all? Like, I know PPP just rolled out this week, but like, is that something that people are envisioning hearing back in the next, like,
yes, yeah, the PPP, we have heard, because, you know, these are local lenders and things like that, that they are doing the loans and they are being dispersed. We've also heard that the EIDLs have started to be dispersed too.
Okay, we are unmuting Rafiq.
Good afternoon. My question is quick. Is there a minimum credit score that's required for approval for either one of the programs? And if so, what is it?
I wouldn't worry about that. For the EIDL, I would apply and see what happens. Okay, you want to apply.
Yeah, they've been very flexible on credit scores. So that's not, I mean, this is a disaster situation.
Right, and again, with PPP, it has nothing to do with your credit score. The whole intent of the program is to get you and your employees back on payroll.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I'm unmuting Tavis.
Hi, how are you? Thanks for doing this. I have heard you say a couple of times that the intent of the PPP is to take people you've laid off and get them back on payroll. But when I look at the SBA website, I see it as both for rehiring and for keeping employees on payroll. Can you clarify?
Absolutely, yes. So you have been impacted by COVID-19. Your business is receiving less revenues. You've got to decide, can I maintain my staff, or am I going to take the revenue that I have and pay my electric bill? Okay. With this program, you can apply to keep your employees on your payroll and take the revenue that you have and pay that electric bill. Right. And if you use 75% of that to keep your employees employed and follow everything else, then it's a forgivable loan. So it's to maintain your workforce if you've been impacted, because obviously your revenues are low, and if you had to lay people off, to bring them back and pay them.
Terrific. Thank you so much.
Okay, we're going to take one more question because our presenters have promised us until 3:30. I am unmuting Richard.
Thank you very much, and thanks for all your help. You guys are a great resource for all of us. My question is, my company is an S Corp, and I guess I'm technically set up as a shareholder. I do not have any W-2 employees, and all of my work is done via subcontractors, 1099 subcontractors. So am I eligible to apply for the PPP loan that's starting tomorrow, April 10th?
So you're taking a draw, you have like a Schedule K or something?
Yeah, I have a K1 that I received,
Yes.
but yes.
Yeah, so that's how you get paid. With that K1, that's how you're able to afford your rent and your mortgage, and pay your household bills and things like that, right?
Exactly.
Exactly. So that is your payroll. So that is what you would show. Also, I would encourage you to come and submit an income and expense statement for your business that will document, when the draws came out.
Okay.
Okay, and then all of your 1099s, they need to file themselves.
Yes, I'm not worrying about them at this point. I'm worrying about me. Not to be mean. So even though I'm not technically considered a sole proprietor or an independent contractor, I can still fight my way through this application tomorrow?
Yeah, because the first thing you check is S Corp.
Okay. Okay, very good. That's very helpful. Again, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sure everybody appreciates it.
Thank you.
Thank you. If we have time for a few more questions, Sonia and Kim?
I'm okay.
I'm going to jump off only because I have another webinar. I actually have 2 more webinars to give. So thank you, Marla, for having us. And we appreciate your time to give the information out to the small businesses. So thank you.
Kim, thank you. Thank you. I am unmuting Alicia.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. Yes, we really appreciate this, Marla and the collective. Just one quick question. I'm hearing terms interchangeably. I applied for the injury disaster loan, and I have an application number, not a loan number. Are they one and the same?
Oh, yes. Okay. It's an application number. Yes, until you get a loan, then it'll be a loan number. And honestly, Kim and I apologize for that.
No, that's okay. I just want to make sure. Thank you so much. Don't want to take up any more time.
Oh, no. And I just want to confirm with you that you also did the application where you asked to be considered for the cash advance, correct?
Yes, and I checked that off as well. So I think I'm good to go because the presentation was excellent. So thank you so much. And we'll just keep our little fingers crossed and keep it moving. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All righty. Take care now.
Great. We are unmuting Naya.
Yes, hi. I want to say thank you, y'all, for all the information. It was very useful. So my question is, what if you have employees that don't want to return, and are you able to hire new employees?
Well, they don't have to come back to work. You will just be paying them for staying home, okay? So the whole point is that they're not going to be collecting unemployment. They're going to be working for you for the next 8 weeks.
Okay, what if they choose not to do that? Can I hire employees to replace them?
Yes, at the same salary. So it would have to be at the same salary.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, we've got Lydell. We are unmuting you.
Hello, Marla. Hello, everyone. My question is, I have an application submitted and I have a number, but I'm not sure if I checked off one of the boxes. Can I go back in and put a 10,000 and check my application?
Well, let me ask you this. And this is for the EIDL loan, correct?
Yes.
What does your number begin with?
330.
Hold on 1 second. I'm going to check something.
Okay.
So while Sonia is checking, thank you all for being so patient. Kim and Sonia are running ragged with webinars and answering questions, so we really appreciate your patience, and PIDC is very, very fortunate to be able to have a direct connection to the SBA to come in and be able to present on these webinars.
Okay, so if you have an application number that begins with a 3, that means you applied through the new system. So you did ask for the cash advance.
Great. Thank you.
Great. I am unmuting Andy.
Hey, Marla.
Hey, Andy.
Hey, real quick question. So I think I got the answer, but I'm not sure. If you're applying for the Paycheck program, Protection Program, can you also apply for the $10,000 loan for the EIDL?
Yes, again, you cannot double dip. So you need to make sure that you're accounting for all of your expenses with what loan grant program you're using. So like I said, if you've got something from PIDC or the state or some other program, whether it's a loan or a grant, and it's compensation to help your business with COVID-19, you need to make sure that you're documenting what you're using for what.
Okay.
Okay, you can't use the money twice on the same thing. Okay, so the
Okay, I think the bank,
PPP,
right.
you
I
know,
think the bank thought that that you couldn't do both.
no,
period.
you can definitely do both. The thing is, even with these two, you cannot double dip, and you cannot double dip with any other program that you've received to help you. You know, so if you're having trouble with your payroll and you do PPP and PIDC has given you a grant and you apply it to the same 8 weeks of payroll and you get the cash advance and you say, I'm applying it to the 8 weeks of payroll, you basically triple dipped.
Okay,
Which is not a good thing when you're dealing with federal funds.
got it. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to unmute Kimberly.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Hi. My question is if our organization typically has our increases, our merit increases that occur, actually are occurring on the April 17th payroll. What impact does that have if we applied for a PPP loan yesterday? Does it have any?
Well, when you applied yesterday, you did your average monthly payroll cost based either on the previous 12 months or based on your 2019 calendar. So that is what your average payroll cost would be.
Correct. We did utilize the 2019 calendar year, but will that have any issue, I guess, with loan forgiveness? If
no. So then you'll be using more than 75%. Maybe you want to use all 100% for your payroll.
Okay, so there's no penalty. It just means that we would utilize more of that loan for
correct. And that is the whole goal, to utilize that on your payroll.
And one more question: is there any issues with any executives getting increases or bonuses during this time?
You know what? This is not for a bonus. This is basically to keep your employees on your payroll because you're suffering economically, okay? Meaning, like that other person said, you've got less revenue coming in. What do? Do you pay your employee or do you pay the electric bill? We want you to pay the electric bill because you're going to get a forgivable loan through the PPP.
Okay, what if I guess the question would be if there were retention bonuses for some people who are on the front lines with our staff.
This is not a bonus program, okay?
So no bonuses should be taken in consideration for.
This is a payroll program, okay?
Okay.
And if you saw, what do payroll costs count as? Salary, wages, commissions, or tips. Things that, they would have received, things that you calculated your 2019, average payroll for. Again, you're suffering economically. You have to decide, do I keep the employee or do I pay my electric bill because my revenues are down? You're going to apply for a PPP, so you've got the funding to pay your employees and then use your revenues to pay your electric bill.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. That is the last question. And Jasmine, do you have anything that you want to add?
Hi, Marla. Nothing to add, but thank you to everyone for attending. We hope that you really got some value out of the information shared. And we would like to make sure that you stay up to date with PIDC and all news related to COVID-19 and business resources. So please go to pidcphila.com/COVID-19. That's pidcphila.com/COVID-19 for information. And please follow us at PIDC Phila on social media for updated news on this as well.
Great.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Marla, for having Kim and I on the program. And we hope your listeners found a lot of great information.
So Sonia, we can't thank you enough. If we were in our office, we would be applauding you. So we encourage everyone, you can hear Kim and Sonia every day until next Friday on a webinar with the Delaware SCORE. We have posted that on PIDC's webpage. We encourage you. You know, we've been saying don't get information from third parties. Get the information from the SBA. So the SBA is the source. Anybody else is third party. They may mean well, but SBA is the source of this information. And so we're posting everything. We will try to do these webinars as often as we can, and it certainly is dependent on the availability of Sonia and Kim. But again, we are so appreciative. Sonia, I know your schedule is crazy. I know Kim's is crazy, but again, we thank you. And for anybody else, we apologize if you were unable to log in at the very beginning. As you know, there are security issues with Zoom. And so we changed our security settings so that we could better monitor not getting hacked. And so we're going to keep trying to get you the information and keep you from having a difficult time getting to our website. At the same time, we're trying to protect the information. So thank you all for joining us. Look on our website for upcoming webinars. Next week, we will run a webinar again on your emotional health. We had the Scattered Good Foundation on last week, and you cannot underestimate the impact that this crisis is having on you mentally, emotionally. For some people, it's physically, as you are taking care of your business, trying to keep your business alive, trying to get your employees back on salary. It takes a toll. And so we are going to again partner with the Scattered Good Foundation on next week to bring you some additional information on the kinds of things business owners can take advantage of during this time. So with that, we're going to sign off. We thank you. Thank you, Sam, and Sonia again, and Jasmine. Check out everything that's on our web pages, and then make sure all of this is going to be available on our webpage. So the entire presentation will be available via a PDF and a recording. So thanks so much. And we will see you soon.
Okay, thank you, Marla. Bye now.
Bye.